Recently, we worked on the leg obstruction and the stop kick. Today, we'll continue using those tools, but we'll approach them from a different angle, through timing. As we always emphasize in Jeet Kune Do, defense is based on 3 types of timing: after, during, and before the opponent's attack.
Before, during, after.
We'll start today's warm-up with the tactically weakest option, reacting after the attack, also known as the second beat. This is the simplest form of riposte. Your partner will throw a straight punch. You will move out of range, deflect or parry, and counter with a jab. So, partner steps in. You step out and counter with footwork and a jab. There are different ways to execute the block or defensive reaction. It doesn't have to be just retreating with a catch. You can slip slightly to the side, parry, or even use just an evasion. But the key is that it always happens on 2 beats. His action, then your reaction and counter. Again, simplest version. Step out and counter with a jab. And of course, we all know the difference between the jab and the straight lead. Let's go. Now we are working on the reaction on the second beat, using the leg obstruction. We'll start by performing leg obstruction with the lead leg. When your partner attacks with a groin kick, you intercept with the leg obstruction. The key moment is when your foot lands after the interception. At the moment of landing, your center of gravity shifts to the front leg. This sets up a perfect opportunity to follow up by stepping forward with the rear leg in a pendulum step and countering, for example, with a hook kick. That works well if you're using the front leg for the obstruction. However, if you were to do leg obstruction with the rear leg, your weight would end up on the rear leg after landing. So in that case, it would make more sense to follow up with a hand strike instead of a kick. But for now, we're isolating only the first part. Your partner will attack, you intercept with a leg obstruction, then immediately counter. Got a groin protector on? Okay. Again, intercept, land, and counter right away. Clear? Let's go. Now we're doing leg obstruction with the rear leg. When Bartek kicks, we intercept using the rear leg. Once that leg lands, it naturally becomes loaded with your body weight. Now, to do the same follow-up we practiced earlier, like a pendulum step into a hook kick, you'd first have to shift your weight to the front leg to free up the rear leg for kicking. That takes extra time and effort, but when your weight is already on the rear leg, you can use that base to drive forward and launch a counter such as a straight lead. So, your partner kicks, you intercept, land, boom, counter with a straight lead. This is still a second beat reaction. You're responding after his attack. You do the stop, hop, and then your counter comes. Got it? Let's get to work. We've now gone through 3 examples of second beat reactions, counters that happen after the opponent's move. Now we'll move on to 2 examples of same beat reactions, where everything happens on 1 beat. This is called a time hit, striking with timing, or hitting as the opponent attacks. This concept is heavily borrowed from fencing, where timing is everything. There are 2 classic strategies from fencing that we're going to adapt. The first is called Passata Soto. Bartek, stay still for a moment and extend your arm. In fencing, when one fencer thrusts forward, the other drops low, like this, moving offline and under the attack. That's Passata Soto. The second strategy is called Inquartata. This involves a subtle quarter-angle sidestep. So when the opponent thrusts, you slightly evade while staying in close range. And at the same time, you launch your own thrust. So again, Passata Soto, drop under and counter. Inquartata, quarter-angle evasive counter from close range. We'll now apply this logic to our timing drills. Passata Soto. We're going to borrow this concept and reinterpret it for unarmed combat. When your partner throws an attack with the lead hand, we'll counter with a jab to the body. That's the closest direct translation of the Passata Soto or Passata de Soto, depending on the source. Some include the de, some don't. So when your partner strikes, you throw a jab to the body, dropping your level. You're aiming to jab while maintaining your structure. Meaning, as your spine tilts forward, your shoulder stays aligned and you deliver the punch on a horizontal plane. Drop, boom. and strike to the body. Whether you step forward or just shift weight slightly to generate momentum depends entirely on the distance. The principle of a time hit is this: your counter should land at the exact moment their attack would have landed, but you move off the line at the same time. So yes, you could step offline, or you could use a simultaneous parry. But in fencing, and specifically in Passata Soto, there's no parrying. It's purely about evading by getting off the line. Bartek, throw the punch. Notice that my rear hand stays exactly in place as I move. When I drop, I stay covered behind the rear hand. It's not flailing around. I stay protected. Now we'll drill this. Your partner steps in and you respond on the same beat. If you miss the timing, and you will sometimes, don't freeze. Don't just eat the hit. Instead, immediately follow up with a riposte. Try to make the Passata Soto land clean. If not, switch to the second beat counter. Let's go. We've worked on Passata Soto, which in our case involves dropping the head and upper body to the left side, off the line of the opponent's attack. Now we'll adapt the fencing concept of Inquartata. In classical fencing, it involves leaning your body offline. And while it doesn't necessarily compromise balance, fencing isn't as concerned with post-contact stability. In fencing, the blade does the work. Once you land the touch, it doesn't really matter how stable your position is afterward. But in unarmed combat, where we use punches to generate knockout force, we need a stable base and proper body mechanics. So in unarmed combat, we apply the same strategic idea, but modify the movement to suit our context. What we use, instead, is a pivot step. When your partner throws a punch, you stay close. You shift your weight from the rear leg, step forward at a 45-degree angle with the lead leg, and pivot the rear leg around to match. It's just a slight redirection. No need for a wider angle. As for the rear hand, it can be held up as a safety cover while your partner strikes. But if your timing is right, you won't need it. Think of it as a margin of safety, not a requirement. Your lead hand will deliver the counter strike. It can be a forward hook, a straight lead, or an upward hook. It all depends on where the opening appears. Today we'll keep it simple and use a straight lead. So the drill goes like this. Your partner attacks. You pivot off the line and counter with a straight lead. Notice how close this exchange is. You're not moving way off to the side. Staying close lets you stay in control. Yes, stepping farther away might feel safer, but the farther you go, the harder it is to reach and hit effectively. So again, partner steps in. You pivot offline with the lead foot at 45 degrees. Rear foot follows the arc. Counter with a straight lead. Nice and tight. Clear? Let's work.